Shocking night shift, the devastating rules they never told me at this haunted store. The flickering fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, casting eerie shadows across the cramped aisles. It was just past midnight, and Lucy's heart raced as she entered old Charlie's bargain store, the place meant to be a simple summer job. Yet whispers of ghost stories flowed like fire through the town. Each tale painted the store as a dark labyrinth where lost spirits roamed. A frantic shiver raced up her spine. What had she gotten herself into? Uneasy employees had spilled the first strange rule: never close the register before 3 a.m. Lucy brushed it off. It was just an old superstition, right? Yet, as her shift dragged on, she couldn't shake the feeling that hidden eyes watched her from every corner. The chill in the air grew sharper, like icy fingers gripping her shoulders. The checkout bell rang, but she was alone, or so she thought. Moments later, a faint whimper echoed through the aisles, pulling her focus like a moth to a flame. Was it a customer? Or something far more sinister? Silence fell as she crept closer. The hairs on her neck prickled. The light flickered, and for just a heartbeat, she swore she saw a shadow, the figure of a woman with hollow eyes, drifting just out of reach. No way. She murmured, her pulse thudding. Was it the late hour playing tricks on her mind, or had she stepped into a horror movie? Before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. With every creak of the floor, Lucy felt the weight of the rules she didn't know. She stumbled back, her breath coming fast. Who touches the old clock? Another whispered phrase from her coworkers rang in her mind. Suddenly, the large clock on the wall struck midnight 3 times. The air turned electric. It felt as if the store itself was alive, breathing in sync with its ghostly inhabitants. The ladies' back room door rattled slightly, and a piercing scream shattered the tense stillness. It was a sound pulled deep from the bowels of despair, leaving Lucy frozen. Now, she'd have to decide: confront the darkness or retreat and risk the wrath of whatever secrets lay hidden. Shaking, she took a step forward, drawn in by the call of the unknown. But as she reached for the doorknob and opened it just a crack, she spotted something moving in the shadows. What lay beyond that door? Was it the end of her sanity or the beginning of her nightmare? Lucy's heart thundered in her chest as she slowly opened the door. The air that slipped through felt damp and heavy, like a matted blanket of foreboding. Gritting her teeth, she edged inside, leaning against the doorframe for support. The back room was dimly lit by a single flickering bulb, illuminating shelves crammed with dusty items and forgotten treasures. The screams had faded, replaced by a deathly silence that seemed to wrap around her like an unwelcome embrace. She inched further inside, her shaking hands brushing against a shelf lined with old dolls, each one staring with lifeless eyes, their porcelain faces cracked and worn. Something was off. A chill swept through the room, brushing against her skin like the icy fingers of the unknown. Hello. Her voice came out weak, almost lost in the darkness. An echo of regret resonated through the decaying walls, mocking her decision to investigate. She had been warned, but curiosity always got the better of her. The air shifted. A shadow darted across her vision, and she spun around, her breath catching in her throat. Show yourself. She demanded, her voice unwavering even as fear curled in her stomach. Nothing, just emptiness. But Lucy could feel it. Something lurked just beyond her sight. It was there, waiting, watching. She turned back to the doll shelf, her eyes drawn to one particular doll, its dress tattered and stained. She felt an inexplicable urge to reach for it. As she lifted the doll, an electric shock ran through her fingertips. A whisper tickled her ear, smooth and cold. Leave now. The voice was barely more than a shudder, but it sent a jolt of terror straight to her heart. Suddenly, the lights flickered violently, dimming to a flickering glow before plunging her into darkness. Lucy's breath quickened. She turned to leave, but the door slammed shut behind her. She pressed against it, but it wouldn't budge. Panic surged like venom in her veins. "Let me out!" she cried, banging her fists against the wood. It was futile. The store felt more like a trap than a simple building now. Shadows danced in her peripheral vision, morphing and swirling relentlessly. The whispers escalated to frantic shrills, echoing her desperation. Just when she thought hope was lost, the darkness parted like a curtain, revealing a flickering figure in the corner, a wraith-like woman with hollow eyes and an expression of profound sorrow. "Why have you come?" the apparition asked, her voice hauntingly melodic yet pain-peelingly chilling. I didn't mean to," Lucy stammered, feeling small and terrified. The woman took a slow step forward, gliding across the floor without touching it. "You are bound by the rules. None may leave before dawn. The clock binds us all and you." Lucy's thoughts swirled. The old clock. Remembering the warnings she had brushed off, dread clawed at her throat. As the clock struck again, she realized too late, the time was ticking down, and she had only hours left before she could escape. "Help me!" she screamed, sinking to her knees. The shadows closed in, and laughter dark and deranged echoed around her. With her sanity hanging by a thread, Lucy knew she must find the clock and break its hold before it was too late. But how? Darkness smothered her strength, and she felt the pull of despair dragging her deeper into the store's haunting grasp. "Find it!" the shadow woman commanded, her voice growing faint. "Find the truth before it finds you." What truth? Lucy's mind raced. What other rules hadn't she been told? As the ominous shadows crept closer, she realized one thing: her fight was just beginning. Would she uncover the mysteries of old Charlie's before dawn, or become yet another story whispered in fear? The shadows threatened to engulf her completely, swallowing Lucy whole. The laughter echoed like a mad symphony, a cacophony of despair reverberating through the cramped room. She could feel the weight of the darkness pressing down on her, squeezing the breath from her lungs. "Focus, Lucy," she whispered to herself, shaking off the cold tendrils of fear that wrapped around her mind. She had to find the clock. It was her only hope, and the only way to break this sinister spell. Pushing herself to her feet, she scanned the room. Dust motes floated precariously in the dim light, dancing to the eerie rhythm of distant whispers. The shelves loomed like ancient sentinels, each item a potential key to her freedom. But where to begin? The doll clutched in her hands felt heavier now, its eyes seemingly watching her with a knowing expression. She forced her gaze away from it. No time for distractions. "Where is the clock?" she whispered desperately. She took a step toward the back of the room, where a strange glow pulsed from the darkness. The hum drew her closer, each step more resolute. In the corner stood a tall, ornate clock, a relic of another time, its hands moving unnaturally fast, like a heartbeat quickening in anticipation. As she approached, the laughter faded, replaced by a heavy silence that weighed on her chest. The clock ticked in a slow, mocking rhythm, each second echoing in the hollow room. "Find the truth," the spectral woman's voice flitted through her mind. Was the truth hidden within this clock? Lucy reached out to touch the clock's face, feeling the icy metal beneath her fingertips. A shudder coursed through her. The hands jerked back to an earlier time, the old-fashioned numerals glowed like embers. A surge of energy pulsated through the air, tingling against her skin. "What is this?" she breathed, her heart racing. Suddenly, a sharp gasp escaped her lips as memories flooded her mind, images of harsh winters, isolation, and the soft, ghostly laughter of children echoing through the air. They were fragments of lives once lived in this very place. Someone was trapped here," Lucy whispered, horror creeping back into her veins. The shadows coiled tighter, and she could sense a presence looming behind her. The temperature dropped sharply, sending chills racing down her spine. She turned, heart pounding, and there stood the wraith-like woman again, her intense gaze piercing right through Lucy. "Time changes everything," the spectre intoned, her voice a low echo. "But it is relentless. Are you prepared to face what comes next?" "I want to escape," Lucy cried, desperation clawing at her throat. "What do I need to do?" The apparition sighed, her form flickering like the dying bulb overhead. "You must reveal the secrets of the clock. Only then will the path forward be cleared." Lucy nodded, understanding now that she had to confront the clock's history. But how could she do that? What sacrifices would she have to make? Before she could form another thought, the clock chimed loudly, causing her heart to lurch. "It is time," the woman whispered, her voice fading, before the first light. With that, the shadows swallowed her whole again, and Lucy was thrown into a whirlpool of visions. Children's laughter turned to screams, swings creaking in the wind, their echoes slicing through her consciousness. "Help me! Please!" She screamed into the darkness, but only silence answered. The inevitability loomed over her. It felt like a countdown, and she had no idea what would happen when the clock struck again. "Can I break its hold, or will I become its prisoner?" Lucy fought against the despair washing over her. She had to uncover the lost truth before it was too late. But would the revelations bring freedom or doom? As she searched for answers, the air thickened with dread. She could sense it creeping closer, an ancient force ready to unleash its fury. Would dawn come before she could uncover the truth, or would she be lost in the time and terror of old Charlie's forever? The shadows shifted uneasily as Lucy found herself back in the room, the spectral woman gone, leaving her alone with only the relentless ticking of the clock. It echoed like a heartbeat, a signal that something was racing toward her. She needed to act, and fast. The air felt heavier now, thick with unanswered questions. She clutched the doll tighter, its glassy eyes reflecting the flickering light. "What do you know?" she muttered, hoping for a sign, anything that might guide her. The doll remained silent, a cold artifact of her dread. "Okay, think." Lucy stepped back toward the clock, her breath shallow. If there were secrets to uncover, they had to start somewhere. She scrutinized the clock, searching for clues hidden in the elaborate carvings. Maybe there was a drawer, a hidden compartment. With trembling hands, she ran her fingers over its surface. Beneath the layers of dust, she felt a slight indentation. "There you are," she promised, her heart racing as she pressed against it. The side of the clock creaked open, revealing a dimly lit space within. A small, brass key lay nestled inside, almost glowing against the shadows. Lucy's pulse quickened. "This has to be important." She took the key and held it up to the flickering light, its surface smooth and warm. But warmth brought no comfort. What door would it unlock? Suddenly, the room shifted again. The shadows morphed into swirling shapes, taunting her with whispers she could barely understand. "Not now!" she snapped, trying to shake off the mounting panic. She couldn't let the darkness overwhelm her. She needed answers. Gasps erupted around her as distorted faces stared out from the walls, their mouths moving wordlessly. Were they trapped spirits? Were they victims of this place, or echoes of her own fears? "No!" she yelled, defiant. "I will find the truth." Determined, she darted to the only wall without an unsettling visage. In the far corner, the wood grain looked strangely different. With swift movements, Lucy ran her fingers along the jagged edges and found a small lock set into the wood. Clutching the key tightly, she gasped, "There's got to be a connection." She inserted the key, her hand trembling as she turned it. The lock clicked loudly, reverberating through the dark, and she held her breath, waiting for the door to reveal its secrets. With an agonizing slowness, the panel creaked open, revealing an assortment of dusty photographs and yellowed papers. Memories of families, laughter etched in faded sepia tones, stared back at her. But interwoven with them were unsettling images, faces contorted in fear, eyes wide with terror. Lucy's stomach dropped. What had happened here? Was this their prison? Then she spotted a flicker of movement in the corner of her eye. The doll. It had shifted slightly in her grip, its gaze suddenly intent. As if sensing her turmoil, the doll's mouth opened unfamiliar words, "Find me, to set us free." The clock chimed again, louder this time, shaking the very foundations of the room. Its hands moved back yet again, shifting to an hour Lucy hadn't noticed before. Panic gripped her. Could this be the moment she feared? In the cacophony of ticking and echoing laughter, Lucy felt a jolt of realization. The dolls, the laughter, they're all connected. But could she unravel the truth before the clock struck its ominous hour? Before she could formulate her next move, a cold wind whipped through the room, extinguishing the flickering light. The laughter surged, now a haunting call that pierced through her heart. Trapped between revelations and dread, Lucy gasped. Could she truly face the ghosts of the past? Or would she be swallowed into their chaos forever? As darkness descended, she braced herself, knowing that only one thing was certain: the clock was counting down, and time was running out. Lucy's heart raced as darkness enveloped her like a suffocating blanket. The cold air stirred around her, amplifying the eerie laughter that echoed like a macabre symphony. She instinctively tightened her grip on the doll, the small figure somehow providing a sliver of comfort amid the chaos. "What do you want from me?" she whispered, her voice barely a tremor against the cacophony. With the clock's relentless ticking pounding in her ears, Lucy pushed backward until the ragged wall met her back. It felt solid, a reassuring contrast to the shifting shadows in front of her. She needed to think. If there was any truth to uncover, she had to clear her mind. The faces on the wall still flickered, their expressions alternating between anguish and a desperate plea for help. "Just hold on," she murmured, more to herself than them. Then, the wind howled again, but now it carried with it whispers. "Find the others," it urged, each syllable slicing through the tension. "Unlock their pain." The word sent chills racing down her spine. Who were the others? What pain? She had to push through the fear, to face whatever fate awaited her. Swallowing hard, Lucy turned back to the open panel revealing the photographs. Shuffling through the dusty remnants, her fingertips brushed over peeling edges and faded smiles. They felt like ghosts beneath her skin. The laughter grew louder, vibrating like an unbroken string inside her. In that moment, she spotted something nestled among the photographs, a small, forgotten diary, its leather cover cracked yet somehow preserved. Hope's Boyd. She opened it. The faded script inside danced like shadows, evoking words dipped in sorrow and despair. They took her laughter one by one, the doll's whisper, the secrets. The last sentence sent a jolt through her. Secrets? Who took their laughter? Before she could process the implications, the clock struck once more, echoing with a terrifying urgency. She barely had time to react when a shrill scream pierced through the laughter. It sounded familiar. It was the voice of the spectral woman. "Help us!" the voice cried, dragging Lucy back to the present reality. It reverberated off the walls, amplifying the distress within the confines of the room. "It's happening again. Don't let it happen to you." Panic clawed at her throat. Lucy knew she couldn't stay here, lost in despair and madness. She had to find the source of the laughter. She had to stop whatever malevolence had seeped into this house. Summoning courage, she yelled into the vortex of whispers, "Show me. Show me how to help." In response, the shadows twisted and converged around her, swirling like a living storm. Lucy stumbled, barely keeping her footing while the spectral figures reached out, their distorted faces pleading for salvation. "You know the truth, don't you see?" A chorus of voices melded into one throaty scream. Then the doll pulsed in her hand, the warmth intensifying as it cried out, "Follow the light." Light? What light? Desperately scanning her surroundings, she noticed a faint glow seeping from behind the wall. A crack began to widen, spilling golden hues across the darkened floor. Lucy hesitated, her heartbeat echoing like a metronome of dread. What if it's a trap? She questioned, fear choking her words, but the laughter had shifted. It wasn't mocking now, it was beckoning, coaxing her toward that sliver of light. Steeling herself, she stepped forward, facing the unknown. As she approached, the room around her shifted once more, swirling violently until the world blurred. An icy shiver ran up her spine. The laughter ceased. Everything fell silent. Suddenly, the light burst forth, flooding the room. No retreating shadows, no ghostly whispers. The space transformed entirely. But before she could grasp what lay ahead, her vision blurred again, and she felt herself stretching to a limit she never knew existed. What awaited her on the other side of that light? And would she make it back? For a chilling moment, all went white. Light enveloped Lucy completely, wrapping around her like a warm embrace. But just as quickly, that warmth turned to ice, leaving her breathless and disoriented. She stumbled forward, feeling ground beneath her feet again, but this place felt different. It pulsed with a strange energy. "Where am I?" she whispered, confusion clouding her thoughts. Looking around, she noticed a swirling mist thickening at the edges of a vast room, the air heavy with an air of despair. Shadows dipped and darted within the fog, and the once familiar laughter resonated again, but this time it felt hollow, echoing through the vastness. As her eyes adjusted, she saw them, the others. Huddled together like lost souls, their faces pale under the dim light. There were children, their eyes wide and haunted, a woman with tangled hair clutching a charred wooden doll, an elderly man who seemed too fragile to withstand the weight of what he bore. Each face mirrored the pain Lucy had glimpsed in her earlier visions. "Help us!" a small boy cried, his voice trembling. "We're trapped." Panic surged through Lucy. "What do you mean?" she demanded, stepping closer. The boy pointed to the spectral woman, her presence more defined now among the shadows, her features twisted in agony. "She keeps us here. What do you want?" Lucy shouted, trying to find strength in her voice, yet trembling under the pressure of eyes staring back at her in desperation. The spectral woman lifted her chin, and the room fell silent. "You must find the heart," she said, her voice echoing with sorrow. "It is hidden within. Only then can the laughter be restored and the others released." "Heart?" Lucy repeated, her chest constricting at the thought of something so abstract having tangible power. "The heart of the doll," the elderly man murmured. "It carries our pain and our joy." Lucy's grip tightened around her own doll, now pulsing steadily in her hand, warmth radiating like a heartbeat. She felt a tether between her and the souls surrounding her. It was as if the doll connected them all. "Do you know where it is?" she asked the woman, her heart racing. "How do I find it?" The spectral figures exchanged glances, doubt mingling with hope. "You must face the truth. Only then will the heart reveal itself. Follow the light within the doll," the woman instructed, her voice now a whisper caught in the wind. Lucy's pulse quickened. What lay ahead? What truths would she face? The thought was terrifying. But looking at the children, feeling the weight of their despair, her fear morphed into resolve. "Okay," she nodded slowly, determination burning in her belly. "Just show me the way." As she uttered those words, her doll glowed brighter, casting beams of luminescent light that cut through the shadows. The mist swirled away, revealing an archway at the far end of the room, a doorway trembling with unbridled energy. "Go!" the chorus of voices urged, desperation propelling them forward. "Find the heart. Save us." She hesitated briefly, the gravity of her task weighing heavily. Then she took a step toward the archway. Suddenly, the mist swallowed the room again, laughter rising like a tidal wave. Shadows clawed at her ankles, whispering of forgotten secrets. Uncertainty crept back, but she pushed it away, reminding herself of the faces, the lost souls that needed her. "Lucy!" A voice broke through the cacophony, one she recognized. The spectral woman. "It's all connected. You must remember." "Connection? Remember? What do I need to remember?" she shouted, panic coloring her words, but before the woman could reply, the shadows surged forward, pulling at her. Lucy gasped as she felt the pull of the darkness at her heels, not just a tug, but a raw desperation that threatened to drag her down into itself. She clutched her doll tight. What would Lucy discover on this harrowing journey? And would she have the strength to face whatever awaited her on the other side? As she crossed the threshold into the archway, everything turned dark once more. The darkness enveloped Lucy like a thick fog that swallowed her whole. She felt weightless, as if she existed between realms neither here nor there. Then the world erupted back into focus. Lucy landed hard on cold, uneven ground, gasping for breath. A dim light flickered above, casting erratic shadows along the damp stone walls. The air was musty, every inhalation heavy with sadness. Instinctively, she lifted her doll, its warm glow illuminating fragments of broken things scattered about a shattered mirror, remnants of childhood toys, scraps of old clothing. "Where am I?" she whispered, fear curling in her stomach. Her heart raced with both dread and resolve. This place felt eerily familiar, yet it held a new layer of decay. From the shadows emerged a figure, a girl no older than 12, with wide, terrified eyes. "You shouldn't be here," she murmured, trembling. "They'll hear you." "Who?" Lucy managed to ask, desperation in her voice. "The darkness," the girl whispered, glancing over her shoulder, as if expecting something dreadful to rush in from the shadows. "It feeds on fear. It takes everything. You have to leave before it finds you." Panic surged within her. "I can't leave. I'm searching for the heart of the doll to save them." The girl's brow furrowed in confusion. "Why would you want to save them? They don't deserve it." "Because they're trapped," Lucy argued, feeling the weight of so many desperate eyes watching her eyes she couldn't abandon. "What do you know about the heart?" With a trembling finger, the girl pointed to the mirror that hadn't shattered completely. A strange reflection glimmered back, a distorted version of herself, but also the faces of the souls she had seen in her vision. "It shows you what you need to see, but it shows everything." Lucy stepped closer, driven by curiosity. Could this mirror reveal the truth behind the heart? As she peered into its depths, the reflection shifted. Images cascaded like a haunting film, scenes of children laughing, a mother reading bedtime stories, then morphing into torment, laughter turning to screams. "Stop!" Lucy shouted, clutching her doll tighter. The images warped into an abyss of shadows and pain. Voices of her lost companions rose within her skull, pleading for salvation. "Don't look! Don't look!" the girl cried, her hands covering her ears. "You'll never escape." But it was too late. Lucy felt herself being pulled deeper into the mirror, swirling colors of memory and fear clashing violently. Echoes of betrayal stung her heart. She caught glimpses of moments she never lived, betrayals that felt all too real, faces she recognized, but couldn't identify. Flickers of truth mixed with horror surged inside, making her dizzy. "Help me!" she screamed, her voice muffled by the chaotic tumult. "What is this? What do you want me to remember?" With a final push, the girl grabbed Lucy's arm and yanked her away from the mirror's grasp. "You can't let it take you. Remember who you are. You have the power to face it." Lucy staggered backward, heart pounding. She felt the pulse of the doll resonate through her fingers, an anchor against the storm of despair that threatened to pull her under. "Who am I?" The words were almost a prayer, as if clawing for identity amid the turmoil. Suddenly, shadows coalesced, forming shapes that loomed over them, powerful and hungry. "It is time," a voice whispered, echoing all around, deep and cold. Darkness hungers. As fear settled in Lucy's chest like ice, the girl's grip tightened on her arm. "Lucy, you have to choose. Fight or be lost." Time froze for a breath, the weight of the choices heavy in the air. Within the chaos, Lucy saw flickers of the lost souls, fearlessly looking back at her. They needed her, and she couldn't fail them. "Let us fight," Lucy declared, adrenaline fusing with her purpose. But as darkness surged forward, Lucy wondered, could she really face the truth that lay ahead? What would she discover in the depths of torment? The shadows lunged. And in that split second, everything around her distorted into a primal scream, leaving only the echo of a question. Would she awaken the heart or succumb to the darkness? Lucy braced herself as the shadows lunged, a swirling mass of darkness eager to claim her. The air crackled with a surge of energy, and the girl beside her let out a sudden scream. "Stand your ground!" she cried. Heart pounding, Lucy felt the warmth of her doll pulse in her hands. It was a lifeline tethering her to hope amidst the chaos. "I want to let you take me," she shouted, defiance spilling from her lips. She gripped the doll tightly, feeling its glow grow brighter, pushing back against the encroaching darkness. The shadows melted momentarily at her words, whispering and recoiling, as if startled by her courage. But they soon coalesced again, muttering promises of despair. "You think you're strong enough? You're just a child, lost and alone," the cold voice taunted, slithering through the damp air. "No!" Lucy shouted, grounding herself as memories swirled in her mind, flashes of laughter, warmth, and love. The faces of her friends, their eyes pleading for rescue, fueled her resolve. "I'm not just a child. I carry my friends' hopes." With one fierce motion, she raised the doll. The heart inside pulsed brighter, illuminating the dark stone walls, casting the shadows back. She felt a surge of power flow from the doll into her, waking something deep within her spirit. "Lucy!" the girl shouted, her voice trembling. "You have to transform that power. You can't face them without becoming something more." "Become what?" Lucy gasped, uncertainty bubbling up inside her. "Whatever it is you need to be," the girl urged, her eyes wide with urgency. "You have to embrace it." The shadows writhed, sensing the surge of energy as Lucy closed her eyes, inhaling deeply. Images flooded her mind again, the laughter of carefree days, hands holding her tight, the warmth of the sun on her face. But beneath them, darker images crept: betrayal, abandonment, the cries of the souls trapped in the void. As Lucy brought the power of the doll and those memories together, a warmth blossomed in her chest. She felt the flickers of trust, love, and determination. Suddenly, she wasn't just Lucy. She was their hope, their arms, a guardian. "Let us go!" she roared, every ounce of fear turning into a blazing shield. The doll glowed fiercely, releasing a blinding light that broke through the oppressive shadows. The darkness flinched. "What is this?" the voice howled, trembling. "Don't underestimate me!" Lucy yelled, charging forward. The light enveloped her, a force field casting the shadows back. She had transformed into something fierce and ferocious. She could feel herself drawing strength from the souls behind her, steady and unwavering. "They're counting on me," she remembered, feeling their presence lift her up, but as she faced the shadowy forms, determination filled her heart. She reached inside herself for more, for something that went deeper than the fear. And then she felt it, a pulse from the doll that resonated with her essence. "I will awaken the heart." With a swift motion, she directed the light toward the shadows, watching as they shrieked and flickered. "You don't own me." Yet, just as victory neared, a new voice broke through the tumult, deeper and colder than before. "You think you can escape? With your petty light?" The darkness began to swell, engulfing Lucy, as memories twisted into haunting visions again, moments captured in betrayal, ones she feared most. The faces became monstrous, their eyes raging as the shadows danced around. Lucy gasped, the realization crashing over her: what if the heart held more secrets than she could unravel? "Lucy!" the girl screamed, trying to hold her ground against the resurgent darkness. As Lucy felt her resolve wavering, doubt seeping in, she saw the half-shattered mirror behind her. "No, not again," she whispered. "What if I can't face the truth?" she thought, fear gripping her throat. In that moment of uncertainty, Lucy felt time slow. A choice loomed ahead, one that could lead her to ruin or salvation. Will I discover the heart's true nature or let the shadows claim me? She wondered, staring into the darkness that threatened to swallow her whole. And as the echoes of her friends began to fade into the black abyss, one final question lingered: was she ready to confront the darkest fears that were waiting just beyond the veil? The shadows lunged once more, clawing at Lucy as the weight of despair pressed in around her. Heart racing, she felt the heat of the doll against her chest, its glow flickering with her pulse. Panic welled within her, threatening to drown her in fear. "Find your power," the girl shouted, her voice rising above the chaos. It was an anchor in the storm, a distant star amid the encroaching darkness. Lucy could feel her connection to the others, the threads of friendship weaving a tapestry of strength. They needed her, she could not fail them now, but the harsh voice of the shadows slithered around her, mocking. "You think the light can protect you? You're just a frightened child. Remember who you truly are." With a shudder, Lucy's memories flashed before her eyes: the warmth of her mother's embrace, the laughter echoing in the park, and then the deep, chilling void as everything shattered. "No," she thought fiercely. "I want to let you define me." As the weight of the shadows pressed heavier, she felt an unexpected shift within the doll. It pulsed warm against her palm, and with each beat, her own doubts began to falter. "I have the power to change this," she whispered, pulling her courage closer like a shield. Taking a deep breath, she focused on the warmth expanding in her chest. Images flooded her mind, her friends gathered around the campfire, faces illuminated by the glow, their laughter spilling into the night. Those moments became her strength, reminding her that in the face of darkness, love could blaze into a flame. "I won't turn away," she roared, summoning every ounce of power she could muster. The doll's light burst from her, cascading like a flood, filling the chamber with brilliance. The darkness recoiled, hissing like 1,000 snakes retreating into the cracks. Enough. The shadows writhed, desperate to regain control. They lunged and twisted, but Lucy stood undeterred, every memory behind her pushing her forward. She felt the energy of the hearts entwined with hers, their strength coursing through her veins, fueling her fearlessness. Suddenly, the shadows coalesced into a massive figure, its form dark as midnight and eyes like burning coals. "You cannot comprehend the truth," it bellowed, voice booming off the stone walls. Fear nearly paralyzed Lucy. Was this the culmination of her worst fears? Was this how she would meet her end? "No," she shouted defiantly. "I will confront the truth, whatever it may be." In response, the figure surged toward her, but Lucy stood her ground, arms wide open. The light from the doll blazed, intertwining with every ounce of love and determination she had forged in her heart. "I will not be alone anymore." But then came a crack, a sinister snap that echoed in the stillness. The doll shook violently in her grasp, flickering in and out of existence. Lucy's heart dropped. Memories twisted into frenzied images, thoughts darting like fireflies in a storm. "Is this the truth?" she screamed, fighting against the chaotic grasp of the shadows. The girl beside her screamed again, her face drained of color as the shadowy figure lunged. "Lucy! Don't lose hope." And in that fragile moment, Lucy realized she was hanging onto a thread. But what if hope isn't enough? How could she fight a darkness so profound, rooted in the very fabric of her soul? Just as she began to falter, the light flickered into a brilliant flare, illuminating the deepest corners of her fear. Fear, betrayal, love, they all tangled together, a wild storm brewing inside of her. "If I must face them," Lucy whispered, determination ignited anew. But what would she have to sacrifice to uncover the truth hidden behind the shadows? And as the darkness threatened to swallow her whole, one thought echoed: what if the only way out is through? Light shattered the darkness, illuminating the vast chamber with a brilliant radiance. Lucy felt the enormity of her spirit swell. "I am not alone," she declared, her voice steady against the tempest. The shadows writhed and contorted, but Lucy stood firm. She could feel the weight of those who had come before her: children, mothers, fathers, all victims of despair. She closed her eyes and summoned their laughter, the echoes of joy reminding her of what was at stake. I won to let you win. She shouted. The word struck the shadowy figure like thunder, causing it to recoil as if stung. The darkness hissed, voices flooding her ears with taunts and threats, but she pressed deeper into the warmth of the doll. I will find the heart. With renewed vigor, she advanced toward the looming shadow. The air shimmered around her as memories exploded in bright flashes. She remembered her first bike ride, her first love, the friends that had always stood by her. They fought alongside her now, the figure swelled in fury, seething with ancient spite. You think they care? You're a fool. It howled, a malevolent grin spilling across its vast darkness. Lucy felt the shadows inch closer, claws reaching for her as fear threatened to trickle in. No. She screamed, raising the doll high, the warmth radiating fiercely, illuminating the room. You have not taken their joy. You will not take mine. The shadow shrieked, you know not the truth of your existence. You are nothing without your fear. As if in response, Lucy's heart raced, every pulse resonated in defiance. I am everything because of my love. My hope. Determined, she plunged her hand into the heart of the doll. With that motion, reality twisted, and the chamber quaked. The doll pulsed fiercely, a bright beacon of resilience. The shadows recoiled as cries of lost souls flooded forth, uniting in a symphony of liberation. And then she felt it, a vibration that coursed through her veins. The truth surged, tearing away her doubts, exposing the sacrosanct heart of the darkness, the fear, the sorrow, the betrayal, everything she had hidden inside her own heart. Face the truth. The girl urged, her eyes shining like stars pressing through the shade. Lucy nodded, her voice firm. I choose light over darkness. With a mighty thrust, she unleashed the light. It carved through the shadows, slicing through the darkness like a knife through fog. The memories entwined with it, revealing fragmented recollections of love, moments of laughter, and one last sliver of hope. Each moment merged into a radiant force. The shadow bellowed, no. This cannot be. Lucy felt the shape of her own fears morph inside her, the whispers from the mirror, the betrayal she had witnessed. I was afraid of losing, of seeing, she breathed. But now, I embrace it all. The radiant light enveloped her, merging with all the lives she had fought to save. It exploded outward, burning away the tendrils of despair that tried to ensnare her. With a final cry of determination, she thrust the doll toward the shadow. And as the light surged forth, it collided with the darkness, a cataclysmic burst of energy that dissolved the shadows into wisps, fractured and displaced. The anguish of countless souls erupted from the core of the doll, a crescendo of joy that filled the air with warmth, laughter, and radiance. The chamber trembled as waves of color enveloped her senses, golden rays, verdant greens, deep blues. The shadows disintegrated, revealing a kaleidoscope of memories, a vibrant tapestry woven from laughter and tears. Lucy stood, heart racing, amazed as the swirling mist evaporated before her. The faces of the trapped souls emerged, ethereal yet whole. They moved like whispers of spring wind, free from the shackles of darkness. Thank you, they sang, their voices buoyed by waves of gratitude. You've saved us. With tears brimming in her eyes, Lucy smiled widely. I couldn't let you suffer alone. The spectral woman appeared once more, her form now radiant with peace. You've faced darkness with unwavering light, Lucy. You're free now. Lucy felt the weight of the doll's spark and fade, warmth dissipating into the cosmos. This is for you, she whispered, releasing it as it shimmered gently into the air. With a final flicker, the doll transformed into a golden light as it merged with the joyful whispers of the freed souls, filling the chamber with vibrance. Each spirit smiled, a promise of eternal peace. As the light brightened around her, she felt the pull of reality tugging at her, the warmth of the store beckoning her back. She turned, the store's front door gleaming as it opened on its own. With one last look at the spectral figures, Lucy whispered, "Thank you." The laughter of children echoed through the air as she stepped over the threshold into the morning light. Old Charlie's bargain store stood quiet now, the lantern swaying gently in the breeze. Lucy felt a weight lifted, like a tide receding from the shore. She inhaled a deep breath and stepped forward into a world filled with possibilities anew. Time to start fresh, she whispered to herself, feeling the warmth of the sun and the whispers of hope in her heart, and she knew, as dawn broke across the sleepy town, she would be forever marked by the love she chose to embrace. Now, it's your turn. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this intense conclusion. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this finale. Show your support and let us keep this amazing journey going together.